Game 2 of a crucial 3-game series between the Giants and Dodgers. Matt Cain facing a revamped and star-studded Dodgers lineup.
Good morning, everyone. Oh, we good? Good.
The Los Angeles Dodgers have been active adding talent and payroll for a postseason push. So have the Giants, albeit with lower profile moves that may in fact pay dividends far greater down the road. Fox Saturday Baseball is proud to welcome you to San Francisco for this NL West showdown between the LA Dodgers and the San Francisco Giants, who at the start of play enjoyed their biggest division lead of the year. The Dodgers a game and a half out in the wild card race. With that, we welcome you inside the broadcast booth. Matt Vasgersian, a Chamber of Commerce day in San Francisco. And if you're a believer in trends, then the Giants like the way this series have started. Each of the last 3 Dodgers-Giants series have resulted in a sweep. The Giants win the opener last night, and as I welcome Tim McCarver to the telecast, Tim, they win it thanks in large part to one of those late-season ads.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that all that cash was exchanged between the Red Sox and the Dodgers back on August 25th. But it was a trade the Giants made for Marco Scutaro in late July that continues to pay dividends. Last night, 2 out, bases loaded, a tie game. Scutaro driving in 2, and the Giants go on to beat the Dodgers 5-2.
So for the Dodgers, Tim, they're 5.5 out with 23 to play, a game and a half out in the wild card. Is it fair to say the wild card may be their best route to the fall?
I think so. Yeah, the wild card changes things, but over the course of 162 games, it's hard to say which game is the biggest game. But I can guarantee you that today, from a division standpoint, is the biggest game the Dodgers will play all year.
The Dodgers and Giants have matched up over 2,300 times through the years as their rivalry remains one of the most star-studded in sports. A shot heard around the world, a catch for the ages, and some occasional bad blood. The rivalry has continued through the years and has led to some of the game's biggest moments and introduced us to some of baseball's brightest stars. It continues this afternoon on Fox. Lineups and opening pitch from San Francisco are next. Dodgers starting lineup brought to you by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Moss. Mark Ellis has hit safely in 5 straight. He leads off this afternoon, followed by the 2-time All-Star Shane Victorino. The meat in the middle, Adrian Gonzalez, Hanley Ramirez, and Andre Ethier. No Matt Kemp today. Ken Rosenthal will give us some details in a moment. Luis Cruz, Juan Rivera, A.J. Ellis, and Chris Capuano rounded out. The opening pitch this afternoon is always brought to you by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds as we are underway in San Francisco. Matt Cain making his 28th start of the year this afternoon, and his day is underway with strike one. Well, the 3-time All-Star Tim is in the midst of a fine season, one that began with a contract extension, has included a perfect game and a start in the All-Star game as the Dodgers open this afternoon with a base hit by Mark Ellis.
He has had a tough time over his career against the Dodgers, but that perfect game you were talking about, the 13th of June, and he can have problems with the slider, and beware Adrian Gonzalez and Andre Ethier. He hopes to pitch to them today with the bases empty. They hit him very well.
Shane Victorino settling in now with the leadoff hitter aboard. The switch hitting 2-time All-Star starting in center field today in place of Matt Kemp. There had been much discussion about Kemp's effectiveness after a hitless night yesterday. And again, we're going to check in with Ken Rosenthal in just a moment for the very latest on the Dodgers All-Star center fielder, a player they do not want to be without for much longer down the stretch. Here's the 0-1 to Victorino, and it's fouled away. Gives us a chance to take a look at what happened to Matt Kemp in Denver. Crashed against the outfield wall, hit it flush without losing any speed, and it's that shoulder that's given him trouble ever since as we check in with our Ken Rosenthal for the very latest. Ken. Some technical difficulties on the field with Ken. We'll check in with him in a moment as Victorino lays off.
Ken Rosenthal is on the DL.
Either that or his mic's just down day to day. We'll get that straightened out in a moment. Runner aboard to start the afternoon against Matt Kemp. Against Matt Cain with Matt Kemp on the shelf. Hey, we'll get it right, folks. We've just been on the air for about 5 minutes. What do you expect? And it's a ball and 2 strikes to Shane Victorino. It remains a big absence, Tim, and I think that's the key. Yesterday, a less than healthy, less than effective Matt Kemp was one of the hitters in the Dodgers lineup 2 through 6 that went hitless in the series opener. It's been a concern. And hitting often in last night's game with runners in scoring position. Dodgers stranded 11 in the loss last night as Victorino strikes out. Take a look at the defense behind Matt Cain this afternoon. Sandoval, Arias, Scutaro, and Belt in the infield. Gregor Blanco, Angel Pagan, and Hunter Pence patrolling that spacious outfield here. Buster Posey behind the plate. Giants defense brought to you by Chevrolet. Very different defensive look yesterday as Bruce Bochy had Brandon Belt in the outfield, not only for the first time during a game, but for the first time at any time all year, including just taking fly balls. Here's Adrian Gonzalez. He rolls over a ground ball, and the Giants turn it into 2. Matt Cain and the home team off to a strong start in front of a sold-out crowd. A half inning gone. Dodgers 0. Giants coming to bat. Starting lineup brought to you by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta lift Moss. Angel Pagan atop the card had a big opener, 3 for 4 yesterday. Marco Scudero hit safely in 5 in a row. Sandoval, Posey, and Pence bat 3 through 5. Joaquin Arias gets a start at shortstop this afternoon. The left-handers Belt and Blanco 7 and 8. And Matt Cain rounds out the lineup for Bruce Bochy this afternoon. On the mound for the Dodgers, the former All-Star left-hander, 34-year-old Chris Capuano.
He has won only 2 games since July 3rd, and this is a very tough lineup for any left-hander in the National League to face, because the Giants are 30-14 against left-handed starters this year, and with that dramatic changeup, it'll have to be razor sharp today.
Capuano coming off a no decision Sunday at home against the Diamondbacks. One of those winless starts that Tim referred to since the All-Star break for the veteran southpaw. His afternoon is underway with strike 1 to Angel Pagan. Pagan, as we mentioned, had a big opener yesterday. 3 for 4, a run scored, an RBI, and a stolen base. Dodgers have him defended straight away to start the afternoon. And it's a ball and a strike to Angel Pagan. Well, big picture here, Tim, and we talked about this when we went on the air. The Dodgers perhaps on the verge of the outside looking in the NL West. They start play 5.5 back, only 23 to play. 1-2 to Pagan. The wild card road seems a little bit more attainable. Don Mattingly's bunch just a game and a half out of one of those 2 spots.
Yeah, and 5.5 behind the San Francisco Giants, and with 23 games to play, including this one, that's a lot.
Pagan punches a fly ball out to shallow right. Ethier started back, and he's in to make the catch for route number 1. Well, Ken Rosenthal, we tried to talk to you earlier about the loss in the Dodger outfield with no Matt Kemp today. What is the very latest on his status?
Well, Matt, he underwent a contrast MRI today, and that means there was dye injected into his left shoulder. He will miss the rest of this series. We should get the results of that MRI today and then learn more about his condition. But you guys talked about it earlier. Even in batting practice yesterday, you could see he could not drive the ball.
And one of those situations for Don Mattingly as Marco Scudero stands in, where you want to have your bell cow out there. And Don made that clear to us, but not to the point where the rest of the team is suffering for a less than 100% superstar.
Well, you make that big trade as the Dodgers did on August 25th. You want to add to stardom in the lineup. You don't want to replace stardom in the lineup. And that's what the Don Mattingly's had to do thus far.
1-1 to Marco Scudero is sent down the opposite corner, and a fair ball just inside the line. Extra bases for that late season addition that we talked about when we went on the air, whose contributions have been invaluable.
Came to the Giants' 6th major league team on July 27th. Last night with that key hit to drive in the tie-breaking runs in the 7th inning, and now a 1-out double. One big hit after another for a very savvy player. And you look at his numbers in the 39 games he's played with the Giants, incomparable.
39 games for Marco Scudero, hitting .331. Those were the numbers heading into the afternoon. Make him even a little bit better after his first at-bat double. Pablo Sandoval next. He picks on the first pitch and drives it into center field. Tim Flannery holds Scudero at third, and the Giants are in business in their half of the first.
Well, a ball hit this hard. There's a momentary hesitation by the runner at second base. The reason for it, third base coach says, watch the line drive. You could see both feet planted. That moment, you don't know where the line drive is. You don't know where the guy playing behind you is. That's why Flannery stopped him at third.
Big opportunity now for a guy who's only led all of Major League Baseball in batting since the All-Star break. All-Star catcher Buster Posey. With 1 out, Scudero doubles. Sandoval singles on the first pitch he sees. And a big swing for the downs by Buster Posey.
At the All-Star break, Buster Posey was not considered an MVP candidate, even though he started the All-Star game in Kansas City this year. But his second half has warranted severe MVP consideration.
Again, 375 leads Major League Baseball since the All-Star break. Line to third, and it gets through Luis Cruz. Here's Scutaro to score the game's first run. It's 1-0 San Francisco.
You know, Matt, when you're on second base, that's why you have to watch the line drive. We just talked about it. So at third base is Marcos Scutaro watching the line drive. It's off the glove of Luis Cruz, and the Giants score first this afternoon. I tell you, everything's going the Giants' way, but they're making everything go their way.
Ain't that the truth? Yesterday, a lot of breaks for the Giants on a night when Tim Lincecum walked 7. And the Giants didn't have a single extra base hit. They're still able to win the opener, and they've picked up right where they left off here today. Now it's Hunter Pence with runners at first and second, and he takes a strike. If you were wondering, that ball off Posey's bat was ruled an RBI single, not an error charged to Cruz. So 3 first inning hits against Chris Capuano. Capuano out of the stretch very early today. Big swing and a miss. Well, Chris Capuano has not necessarily enjoyed his trips to this beautiful ballpark in the past. 3 starts, an 0-4 record. Of course, one of those decisions coming in relief. 0-2 the count to Hunter Pence. Into left for Juan Rivera. And that's the second out of the inning. Let's take a look at the rest of the Dodger defense presented by Chevrolet. You've already seen Rivera and Ethier in the outfield. Shane Victorino gets the start for Matt Kemp in center. In the infield, pay particular attention to what Mark Ellis does on this side of the scorecard. His .991 fielding percentage is the second best in the history of the position. So 2 out, 2 on with a run in now for the shortstop Joaquin Arias.
That's why Buster Posey was given a hit on the ball off the glove of Ellis.
Arias starts play at 279 this afternoon. He too picks on the first pitch. One hops it to Ramirez, who knocks it down. They get it over to Ellis in time to force out Posey. A very close play at second base. The Giants do play the first inning run to the second in San Francisco. Giants on top 1-0. Automotive Moss, and by Lexus, introducing a stunning work of technology, the entirely new Lexus ES. Chamber of Commerce afternoon here in the city by the Bay, as so many of them seem to be. Welcome back to San Francisco with Ken Rosenthal and Tim McCarver, Matt Vasgersian. 1-0 Giants as Hanley Ramirez leads off the second. Ramirez, Ethier, and Cruz against Matt Cain. Well, robust numbers for the former National League batting champion. One of the high-profile imports around the deadline, a chopper to third that Sandoval decides to eat, and Hanley Ramirez is aboard on an infield single.
Some balls are hit where nobody plays, and that was one of them. Nobody plays there. Nobody can get there in time. A plopper toward third.
So the second hit of the afternoon for Los Angeles. They put their leadoff hitter aboard in both innings thus far against Matt Cain. And now two-time All-Star Andre Ethier. You know, there aren't many around the league, Tim, and in the division in particular, who can claim they've had the kind of success against Matt Cain that Andre Ethier is able to speak of.
Yeah, it would make sense. It was a left-handed hitter, too.
25 hits against Matt Cain. Ramirez runs. The throw down to second is in time to get him.
Buster Posey made that last out at second base, and he's saying, well, I'm going to get the first out of the next inning at second base, and that's what he did. A rocket of a throw and a quick tag by Marco Scutaro.
Well, Buster Posey throws out nearly 30% of would-be thieves this year. For Hanley Ramirez, that's just the second time he's been caught trying to steal as a Dodger.
I said Marco Scutaro made that tag. It was Joaquin Arias who made that tag, and a very quick tag indeed. Throw on line, but it's high. And the tag by Arias on time to get Ramirez.
The 1-2 home to Ethier. 2 balls and 2 strikes now. You know, these are two offenses, Tim, and it would seem almost counterintuitive with some of the big names, particularly on the Dodgers side of the scorecard, that have to generate runs. Neither one of these two teams slug. In fact, they are last and next to last in baseball in home runs this year. So not surprising to see Ramirez get the green light in front of the likes of Andre Ethier here early on today.
The history of both teams since moving to the West Coast back in 1958. The Giants have had home run power. I mean, a lot of home run power. Willie Mays, Orlando Cepeda, Willie McCovey, all the great hitters that came through this organization at Candlestick Park in the 60s. The Dodgers, however, have been made up primarily of pitchers, including the magnificent royalty in baseball, Sandy Koufax and Don Drysdale, Claude Osteen, Don Sutton.
It's a full count, 3 balls and 2 strikes to Andre Ethier. Little foul pop that the Panda gives an obligatory look and chase. Everything he does kind of generates a smile, doesn't it?
That's true.
He chases something into the stands. He drives in a run. He scores. I mean, the original play in which he was nicknamed the Kung Fu Panda was when he slid awkwardly into home plate, and Barry Zito said, hey, look, it's the Kung Fu Panda. It's fouled off in the other direction. He has fun, doesn't he?
You've heard of fan favorites at different ballparks. It goes beyond that here for Sandoval and the Giant faithful.
The next 3-2 home to Andre Ethier, and he's sticking around. We talked about how if you're a believer in trends, you like the way this series started if you're a Giants fan with the win, because each of their last 3 series with the Dodgers have resulted in a sweep by one or the other team. Another trend is Giants' success when they score first. And there's ball 4 to Andre Ethier. We'll talk about that right after we check in with Brian Kenny back at the MLB Network studios for a DirecTV game break. Brian.
All right, Matt, the Royals have beaten the White Sox 6 straight times, but Dayan Viciedo crushes left-handed pitching. Bruce Chen, the left-hander, taken deep opposite field. He slugs .585 against lefties. It's 1-0. If you call yourself a sports fan, got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. Matt?
Brian, thanks. And as good a race as there is in the NL West, the AL Central boasts a race just as compelling as Luis Cruz swings and misses. Only a game separating Chicago and Detroit. Tim, everybody's waiting for the Tigers to mount this big push like they did last year, and so far it just hasn't happened.
I saw Jim Leyland. We did a game in Detroit about 2 months ago. He said, I know we're capable of doing it. I think we're going to do it. But me sitting here telling you we're going to do it is not doing it. And they haven't done it this whole season.
Well, the Tigers, like the White Sox, one of the teams in that division that has had trouble with less than 500 competition. A ball and a strike to count here to Luis Cruz. One out, one on here in the Dodger half of the second. Hanley Ramirez singled. He was caught trying to steal. Andre Ethier works a base on balls on a 9-pitch at bat. A ball and 2 strikes to Luis Cruz. This is a player who has worked his way into favorite status with manager Don Mattingly, and a player who Don Mattingly thought might break camp with the team out of Glendale, Arizona back in March. Reliable, consistent, and having more success this year as a Dodger than he had earlier in limited big league action. That's rolled out to shortstop. Arias to Scudero. That's a double play. The second one turned behind Matt Cain today. Through an inning and a sponsored by Bud Light Lime. Summer is calling. Running out of time in the summer, Mr. McCarver.
Yes, we are.
It's going quick.
September 21st, it's over.
Is that the day?
Yeah, baby.
It's, as Vince Scully might say, let's push the setting sun into the sky just by a few more hours. Welcome back to San Francisco. Brandon Belt leading things off in the Giants half of the second with Tim McCarver, Ken Rosenthal, Matt Vasgersian. It's the Giants on top early this afternoon. Bottom third of the order, Belt, Blanco, and Kane against Chris Capuano. Chris Capuano has been one of the best bargain stories in baseball for the past couple of years. Last year on a one-year deal with the Mets, signed a 2-year deal with the Dodgers prior to 2012. And for a guy that's come off of Tommy John surgery not once but twice, has put up terrific results. Hanley Ramirez stays with the tough mound hop to throw out Brandon Belt. And with Tommy John surgery recovery front and center in baseball this year, there is news on that front out of our nation's capital. Speaking of Steven Strasburg and the Washington Nationals, for an update on that situation, Ken Rosenthal, a big announcement today in D.C.
There was, Matt. Davey Johnson, the manager of the Nationals, saying that Steven Strasburg has been shut down for the season. He didn't like what he saw from Strasburg in his last start, thought all the talk had been finally getting to him. So this is it. This will end his season. And people ask, well, what will the effect be on the Nationals? Keep in mind, they'd have the best rotation ERA in the National League, even if you take Strasburg out of the equation. Jordan Zimmerman, Gio Gonzalez, Ross Detweiler, Edwin Jackson, 4 very good starters, but no longer do they have Steven Strasburg.
Yeah, Ken, in the best 3 out of 5 series, that first round, who would you rather have pitching for you? Any of those aforementioned, with the possible exception of Gonzalez?
It's a fly ball out to right for Ethier.
Or would you rather have Strasburg on the mound when his mind is free of all the talk that, in my mind, hastened his 3 innings and out last night?
Well, his season ends here with these final numbers. 159 and a third innings of work this year. The team said they wanted to cap him at between 160 and 180. They will have accomplished all that, and now are effectively hoping the rest of that rotation can take them the rest of the way. Here's Matt Cain now with 2 gone. Nationals in action today and already in a delay. They're hosting the Marlins this afternoon, and rain has delayed that one in the 9th.
Talking about the Strasburg situation, I'm sure we'll talk about it more in this game. I have never seen or heard of a policy or a decision by an organization so vigorously opposed by almost everybody in the game. Everybody.
Certainly more on that as we continue today. 1-0 Giants. Will return to San Francisco after a word from your local Fox station. This is how the day goes from batting practice to sold-out crowd in San Francisco. Back with Ken Rosenthal and Tim McCarver, Matt Vasgersian. The magic of time-lapse photography taking us to a current picture as we start the top half of the third with the Giants on top by a run. Juan Rivera, A.J. Ellis, and Chris Capuano, bottom third of the order here in the third inning for Los Angeles. Well, in addition to the numbers that Juan Rivera starts play with today that you see on your screen, he is a .343 career hitter in this ballpark. It's a good 70 points better than his overall career average. On this appearance, he flies to right, one away. Hey, tonight college football returns to Fox as Aaron Andrews, Eddie George, and Joey Harrington once again get you ready for kickoff with the Ford Fox College Saturday pregame show. Then Rex Burkhead and the 16th ranked Nebraska Cornhuskers head to Los Angeles for an early test against UCLA. Coverage begins tonight at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific.
I had a terrific conversation with Keith Jackson about 3 weeks ago, in fact.
Did you?
I did. What a charming, fabulous guy, and enjoying retirement down in Los Angeles.
I contend that you cannot say Nebraska Cornhuskers more than a handful of times without thinking of the voice of Keith Jackson.
Oh, no, just fabulous. He's going to enjoy, he and his wife enjoying their 50th wedding anniversary this year.
Wow. A ball and a strike to count to A.J. Ellis. We were talking last inning, Tim, about Steven Strasburg and his being shut down today by the Nationals coming off the Tommy John surgery. There's another starter out there in baseball who is on the same track. And in fact, in a moment, we're going to check in on Chris Medlin in New York. We're speaking of the young Braves right-hander, whose road back has been handled a little bit differently by the Braves than Strasburg's with the Nationals. He started the year, instead of being in the rotation with a shutdown date that would cut him short of the full boat of games, he started the year slower in the bullpen. Didn't work him into the rotation until later on. So the Braves have their Tommy John rehab star fresh for this push.
And this postseason, if they make it.
Fly ball out to center for Angel Pagan. And speaking of the Braves and Mets, let's check in with Brian Kenny at the MLB Network studios for a DirecTV game break.
Yeah, Matt, Chris Medlin has a 1-0 lead thanks to this. Jose Constanza putting that off the glove of Jeremy Hefner. Braves' consecutive scoreless streak now at 29. If you call yourself a sports fan, got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. Matt?
Brian, thanks. Yeah, that Braves staff is doing its best to remind everybody of Smoltz, Glavine, and Maddox these days.
I'll say. 3 straight shutouts. 1-0, 1-0, and 3-0 last night. Another one going today.
And Atlanta, if it were to end this afternoon, would have one of the 2 National League wildcard spots, though they've got the Dodgers and the Bucks hot on their heels. But what a terrific race as we head into the later stages of September. A ball and 2 strikes to Chris Capuano. Matt Cain cruising right along. A couple of leadoff singles, but 2 double play balls have helped him out so far. And it's 2 balls and 2 strikes to Capuano. In terms of the later schedule today, the Pirates are home with the Cubs. Cardinals hosting the Brewers. And Capuano can't hold up on the appeal. Second strikeout for Matt Cain. 3 scoreless innings by the Giant right-hander as Angel Pagan leads off the home third. We go there with the Giants on top 1-0. Go to the San Francisco half of the third for Angel Pagan to lead things off against Chris Capuano. Pagan flew to right in his first try this afternoon, 3 for 4 yesterday. It was a part of a big series opener for the Giants center fielder. 49 extra base hits this year and 24 stolen bases, as he added 1 in each category last night. And with 1 more of each, he'll become just the second Giant center fielder since Willie Mays with 50 extra base hits and 25 bags. He, along with Marco Scutaro, have provided the Giants a powerful 1-2 punch in August.
Well, I'll say since August 3rd, they have both been on fire. What a tandem.
A ball and a strike to count to Angel Pagan. And a fly ball into shallow left center. Rivera and Victorino negotiating for rights, and Shane Victorino makes the catch. So Pagan 0 for 2 today, but the price of poker in Angel Pagan's impending free agent sweepstakes seems to be on the rise, Ken Rosenthal.
No question, Matt. And his value to the Giants only has increased since Melky Cabrera's suspension. But other teams are going to look at Angel Pagan and like him a lot, too. He can hit lower in the order in a run-producing spot. He has excelled in the leadoff spot. And when you compare him offensively to Michael Bourne, their profiles this season are pretty similar. Now, Bourne's a year and a half younger. He's 29. He's a better base stealer, a better defender. But Angel Pagan has definitely increased his stock.
And here is the second half of that 1-2 punch, Marco Scutaro. It's amazing, Timmy, when you think about how popular these two players have become for this franchise. Neither one of them were here last year.
Right.
And Scutaro's in his second full month as a Giant.
It's interesting Ken mentioned Melky Cabrera. Today was supposed to be a day in which the Giants handed out 20,000 Melky Cabrera t-shirts, and the marketing staff changed it on August 16th, August 17th to Angel Pagan. A pretty nifty job of changing a t-shirt after Melky Cabrera fell on the times in which he fell.
Let me tell you, that's a busy seamstress.
It is.
Changing 20,000 t-shirts.
That's a big day. Today is, from the Giants standpoint, it's the Gigantes.
That's right. The Giants, as you can see right there on the screen, the word Giants replaced by Gigantes as the Giants celebrate what they call Fiesta Gigante today. A celebration of Hispanic heritage, and a ground ball to first for Adrian Gonzalez, and 2 quick outs for Capuano. Hey, next week the battle for the postseason heats up as the Rays head to the Bronx to take on the Yankees. Both teams fight for the AL East title and or a wild card spot, or the NL East leading Nationals battle the wild card leading Braves. Some will see the Tigers and the Indians. Fox Saturday Baseball presented by MasterCard returns next week, 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific. Here's Pablo Sandoval now. He picked on the first pitch and singled in the first, part of that run scoring rally that opened the afternoon. Offering it the first pitch again. Vladimir Guerrero, eat your heart out. And it's a 1-2-3 third for Capuano.
Freest of free swingers. First pitch 2 straight times.
The more disciplined Adrian Gonzalez will bat third when we go to the top half of the fourth. TV. Now NFL Sunday Ticket is included at no extra charge when you switch. And by Prudential. Prudential, bring your challenges. Back inside the ballpark in San Francisco, top half of the fourth, top of the order for Los Angeles. Mark Ellis, Shane Victorino, and Adrian Gonzalez. Ellis singled to start the ball game, extending a modest hitting streak to 6 in a row. Matt Cain working to the Rapid City, South Dakota native and former Oakland A, guy who plied his craft across the bay for some time. Very successful as an A. There's a drive that carries Blanco all the way back to the wall. Hey, speaking of the Oakland A's, our best wishes go out to Oakland A's right-hander Brandon McCarthy, who in the 4th inning Wednesday was on the mound for a very disturbing thing to watch. Hit by an Eric Ibar line drive. That night, a 2-hour surgery was performed. We're told that Brandon is alert. His status is being monitored. And again, everybody wishes he and his family the best in a speedy recovery. In fact, the extended sports family is paying attention. 49ers linebacker Patrick Willis via Twitter. Sorry to hear what happened. Know you're a huge 49er fan. Our prayers are with you. Get well. And Brandon has responded, which is certainly an encouraging sign. Said, thanks, buddy. I feel like I just got hit by you.
49ers open their season tomorrow against the Green Bay Packers at Green Bay.
Appointment viewing.
Yes.
Ball and 2 strikes, the count to Shane Victorino, and off in the distance through a light layer of fog is the O.Co Coliseum, the Oakland Coliseum, where the A's call home. That is until they can get a new ballpark. Into the corner in right field. Extra bases for speedy Shane Victorino.
Good play by Pence. With 1 out, the good outfielders know that the good base runners are trying to get to third base with 1 out. Victorino was doing just that. Pence comes up with it cleanly off the fence to get it back to his cutoff man to hold Victorino to a double. No sign that he'll stop there, however. He loves to steal third base.
Runner in scoring position with 1 gone for Adrian Gonzalez. These were the elements that were missing last night in the series opener for Los Angeles. And they have been among the things that Don Mattingly has most lamented the past couple of weeks. And that is to say, the big hit, hitting with runners in scoring position. Victorino at second with 1 gone. Big swing and a miss. 0-2 to Gonzalez. Not only has Adrian Gonzalez had success against Matt Cain in the past, his .397 batting average with runners in scoring position, and that number includes his time in Boston, is the second best in baseball this year. A huge opportunity for LA here in the 4th. Into left center. Pagan has a play. And Victorino has to stay put as we send it to Brian Kenny at the MLB Network studios for a DirecTV game break.
Matt, let's get back to the Braves and Mets. Freddie Freeman was 0 for his last 15. That'll snap that base hit. Drives in Jason Hayward. Chris Medlin, 2 shutout innings. Braves scoreless streak at 30.
Brian, thanks. And Atlanta again with one of the 2 National League wildcard spots as we speak. Going to be up to Hanley Ramirez now to try to get that run in with 2 gone. Ramirez singled in the second. Of all the new Dodgers, Tim, and we're talking about all the separate acquisitions, Victorino from the Phillies, the Boston trade, Hanley coming over from the Marlins, Ramirez is the guy who, at least at first glance, has put up the most helpful numbers.
He's been with the Dodgers a little longer, about 2.5 weeks longer than the others. Hanley Ramirez, Shane Victorino, Adrian Gonzalez, Joe Blanton, Josh Beckett, and you could put Nick Punto on that list also. All new Dodgers over about a 2.5, 3 week period from late July to mid-August.
A complete chemistry change, and one that Don Mattingly admits the team is still adjusting to, as it goes to 2-1 on Hanley Ramirez now.
It would be, and Don confirmed this before the game in our visit with him, it would be a lot easier for the Dodgers to have made this trade during the offseason. So all the players that were involved could get used to each other. But now it's almost a get along together and win very quickly in an impatient society. It's a large order.
Little comebacker for Kane, and that one-out double is left stranded. We played 3.5 in San Francisco. The Giants still lead it 1-0. Buster Posey leads off the home fourth. Posey, Pence, and Arias against Chris Capuano. The Giants hanging on to a 1-0 lead. It's a lead they earned on a Buster Posey single back in the first. Chris Capuano back to work with strike one. Tim, you made the point earlier in the telecast that Buster Posey may not have been top of mind when you talk National League MVP before the All-Star break. But at this point, he is one of those handful of names that's going to garner some serious consideration come the end of September.
Particularly at that position, handling a very successful pitching staff. So you're a catcher with great defensive capabilities and also offensive capabilities, especially since the All-Star break.
His name would be in the conversation with that of Andrew McCutchen, whose numbers have come down a little bit over the past few weeks. Matt Holliday has had a big second-half push. And very quietly, Tim, the reigning National League MVP is right there this year as well.
He really is.
Ryan Braun with 38 home runs and 100 runs batted in. For a little bit more on Ryan Braun's NL MVP candidacy, Ken Rosenthal.
Thanks, Matt. Ryan Braun, his OPS, on-base slugging percentage right now, is within 1 point of where he was last year. So really, he is having almost an identical season. So people ask, would voters hold it against him that he had the appeal on the steroid suspension that was upheld, that he won? And I would say that the answer to that is no. This is not the same as a Hall of Fame vote when on the Hall of Fame ballot it instructs you to consider character, integrity, sportsmanship. This is simply most valuable player. He was exonerated by Major League Baseball. Voters would vote as they normally would.
It's going to be interesting to see how that vote breaks down because, as is usually the case, there are no wrong answers on that screen. And it's 2-2 now to Buster Posey.
Well, I'm not sure whether the voters consider the defensive part of a catcher's job of handling a pitching staff and still delivering offensively like Posey does, even into September. In fact, Yadier Molina and Buster Posey are both two great catchers, and they're both in the top 5 in hitting in the National League in September. And normally catchers wear down by September, particularly if you're catching a talented staff like Posey is or like Molina is.
The 3-2 pitches, one hopped out to short for Ramirez, and Posey is retired for round number 1. Well, you make a good point, and I think without the foot injury that eventually landed Carlos Ruiz on the DL for the rest of the year, his name would be in that conversation.
That's right.
Too.
You may have 3 catchers in the top 5 in hitting in the National League.
Here is another Philly expat, and that's Hunter Pence with 1 gone. Pence lined to left in his first try this afternoon. 1-0 Giants, a run on 3 hits for San Francisco, and all that damage came in the first against Chris Capuano. On the ground to second, the sure-gloved Mark Ellis has got it, and there are 2 quick outs. Tomorrow, start your NFL Sunday with the Fox NFL Sunday pregame show as Aaron Andrews has a one-on-one interview with Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers, plus Terry Bradshaw rates the 5 rookie QBs that are making their debuts in Week 1. It's all on the Built Ford Tough NFL Sunday Fox pregame show tomorrow at noon Eastern, 9 Pacific, right here on Fox. Joaquin Arias with 2 gone now. Chris Capuano has settled into a nice groove, having retired 8 straight. Chris will be the first to tell you, and he is a rather cerebral sort, Tim. You've visited with him in the past, a Duke graduate.
Valedictorian in his high school graduating class.
He's a big believer in rhythm, and when he gets in him, he's pretty tough to solve. Went over 24 consecutive scoreless innings earlier this year. One of the longest by a Dodger in a few seasons.
When you get a pitcher like that, that is very sensitive to rhythm, you try to work him as quickly as possible. Put down the signs without even thinking. I mean, if you're a catcher, allow him. You're putting down signs to his rhythm, not to yours. It's very important.
And
the cadence that goes on between a catcher and a pitcher.
Arias rolls a ground ball to shortstop. 3 ground ball outs and 9 in a row set down by Chris Capuano. We played 4 complete. It's still 1-0 Giants.
it's tough when you're young.
Well, the Giants and Dodgers have not competed for the top two spots this late in a season in about a decade. We welcome you back to San Francisco for the top of the fifth. They are the two top squads in the National League West and running out of time in this terrific division race. 1-0 Giants so far this afternoon. Back with Ken Rosenthal and Tim McCarver, Matt Vasgersian. Andre Ethier leads things off in the LA fifth. Ethier, Cruz, and Rivera. Matt Cain to date has scattered 3 hits. A couple of double play balls he has rolled on his own behalf. And for the most part has kept the Dodgers in check today. 2 balls and no strikes to Andre Ethier. 2-1 now to a guy who's hit safely in 12 of his last 15 starts. Cain at just over 50 pitches this afternoon. Tim, I know you're a big advocate of those that work quickly to keep the defense sharp behind you. Cain doing that this afternoon.
Show me a pitcher that works too slowly, and I'll show you a sluggish defense, particularly on the infield. And normally, I'll show you a losing pitcher too. All good pitchers work quickly.
All brought to you via a sluggish telecast. Because it gets to us too sometimes. There's the 2-2 home. A swing and a miss. Well, Matt Cain, a guy that Giants third base coach Tim Flannery has likened to Bruce Springsteen for the reason that he brings the rest of the band up. A notion that we talked to Dave Righetti about earlier today.
That's pretty good. Well, you know, Timmy will have that analogy with the music, but yeah, that's, you know, he's like that. He brings guys along with him, along for the ride.
But Matt is much more of a pitcher now than he was, say, even 2 or 3 years ago, right, Rex?
Yeah, Mac. I mean, it's tough when you're young and you got 96 in your pocket. It's hard to calm down sometimes, but he did it. He gradually has worked himself into a nice place with his delivery, and he's able to locate on both sides. And I think if we turn him loose, he probably still could do it. But you know, he's really become a nice pitcher. Yeah.
Hey, Dave, thanks for the visit. We
You're
certainly
welcome,
appreciate
guys.
your time. Best of luck down the stretch.
You.
Thanks, Ray.
Okay, man.
And you know, Tim, by way of backing it up statistically, as Cain works to Luis Cruz on a 1-1 count, without bombarding the viewer with a bunch of statistical minutia. There's a pop for Sandoval. He has thrown fewer fastballs, more breaking balls over the years. And in fact, against the Dodgers, a combination of breaking stuff and good old dead red has led to a lot of success in his last 7 starts, limiting LA to an ERA just over 2.
And you mentioned Tim Flannery, too, one of the great guys in the game, and an established musician. Ron Kroichek of the San Francisco Chronicle did a marvelous article about Timmy yesterday. One of those off-day articles, as Timmy said, in which Tim Flannery said that the stairwell acoustics in hotels on the road were better than some opera houses. That is a quote from Tim Flannery, and he confirmed it to me last night.
And if ever there was a stairwell virtuoso among the ranks of Major League third base coaches, he would be the guy.
I've heard of the song Stairway to Heaven, but not Stairwell to Heaven.
1 ball and 1 strike to count to Juan Rivera. Batting with the bases empty and 1 gone. Tim Flannery is also a benevolent sort. He and the Giants have really taken the cause of Brian Stowe, the Giants fan who was involved in a senseless fight and who is saddled with some very severe medical bills and trying to try to get himself healthy again. And Tim Flannery plays a series of benefit concerts on his behalf this year. A swing and a miss. Rivera strikes out. Matt Cain is on cruise control at home this afternoon. Proud to support youth baseball in cities and towns across the country. And all across McCovey Cove, they are decked out in their Giants orange today. Technically a day after what they call Orange Fridays here in this part of the world. Still plenty of team colors flying on this Saturday. 1-0 is the score for the Giants as Brandon Belt leads things off in the home fifth. Belt, Blanco, and Cain here against Chris Capuano. Brandon trying to extend a modest 5-game hitting streak. A player that Bruce Bochy told us before the game has really taken it to another level after a rough start to the season. 1-1 to Brandon Belt.
That pitch from Chris Capuano, very important pitch for any left-hander against a left-handed batter. If left-handed pitchers don't pitch left-handers inside and guys can look away, another one inside. You've got to establish inside, particularly if you throw a tailing fastball like Chris does. He has really been impressive thus far this afternoon.
Retired the last 9 that have come to face him. Belt behind a ball and 2 strikes.
Back in there.
And fouled away. Well, the numbers really back up what we speak of regarding Belt's second half resurgence. 367 is his average over the last 32 games. Ken Rosenthal with a little insight as to how he's been able to pick it up that way.
Well, Matt, he turned his season around after going 0 for 10 on back-to-back nights in Philly in late July. On the flight that night, the flight home to San Francisco, he thought to himself, man, this is ridiculous. Can't be about me anymore. It's got to be about what I can do to help the team. That change in mindset helped, as did a change to a more upright stance. He's 6'5", Brandon is, but he was in such a crouch, hitting coach Hensley Mullen said he was turning himself into a guy who was 5'10".
The no longer 5'10" Brandon Belt with a 1-2 count from Chris Capuano. Two balls and two strikes.
That seems to be the modern mantra from players. Anything I can do to help the team. Kurt Simmons, an 83-year-old pitcher still living outside Philadelphia, used to say, give me 25 selfish guys and I'll win. With talent, and I'll win. Guys who want to help themselves. It's an interesting opposite approach of what players have today. I just want to help the team win. I want a guy who says, I just want to help me be a better player. And if everybody said that and they're talented, you'll win with them. Good pitch from Capuano.
Well, the good of the individual helping the good of the greater team in this case in terms of the Lexus in-game box score. We look at the individual numbers, and it was at first inning. Scudero, Sandoval, and Posey with back-to-back hits that translated into that run. But after that, absolutely nothing against Chris Capuano. Gregor Blanco now with one away. Capuano has retired 10 in a row with one gone here in the fifth. Pitcher due up next with one gone. Blanco bunting. He can run. This is going to be a close play at the bag, and Capuano's there, not in time. And Capuano cannot believe it.
Neither can Ellis, the catcher, who may have had the best view of anybody, including the first base umpire. A.J. Ellis is down there arguing the play. You don't see a catcher arguing a play, a tag play at first base very often. But it's very, very close. He was out.
Wow.
Dodgers did not get the call, but that right foot of Capuano is there before Blanco's. He was out, and clearly out.
You know, oftentimes we look at it again, and in our haste in live action, we and everybody else may have gotten it wrong. But as you said, true. Tim, that was pretty clear.
Well, I mean, and that's why A.J. Ellis had the best view of anybody. Everybody else is converging on the bag, and the catcher sees it clearly. And A.J. was down there to argue the play on a tag of first base. Again, you rarely see that, but Blanco was awarded a base hit then when he was out.
First base umpire Brian Honora was right on top of the play, and the Giants catch a break on a bad call. Capuano back out of the stretch now. He happens to have one of the better moves to first base and has had that good move to the bag his entire career. And we'll see if Blanco, who's stolen 21 successfully in 24 attempts, is able to measure it out.
No, I think you bunt all the way right here.
Kane bunting, fouls it off.
Now, if Kane can't get the job done, then you give the steal to Blanco. But Capuano's got too good a move to first base. I think the straight sacrifice is in order here, even with 2 strikes, if he gets that far.
Been a well-pitched afternoon so far. Capuano trying to keep the Giants off the scoreboard here in the fifth as he continues to keep Blanco honest at the bag. You see no activity in either bullpen, and as I think the Dodgers and Giants would be the first to tell you, this is West Coast baseball at its best this afternoon. Pitching and defense day. Kane squaring around again. He gets the bunt down. Cruz will go to first. Blanco wrapping around to third. Ellis is there to get him at the bag.
Great play by Ellis. Great play. What a play by A.J. Ellis. That is a catcher's responsibility. Follow the ball. If someone else feels it, cover third. He did, and they got the call, even though he appeared to be safe.
Proud supporter of Stand Up to Cancer and sponsored by Michelin, a better way forward. What a magnificent defensive effort we saw that ended the previous half inning.
That's big league ball right there. You can see Blanco, the runner, taking off at first. Good bunt by Matt Cain, the throw to first. And now your second baseman, Mark Ellis, is going to throw the ball to A.J. Ellis. So it's Ellis to Ellis for the tag that was late, but they got the call. So Blanco was originally out at first, safe at third, and the umpires got it just the opposite.
And it is that man, A.J. Ellis, who leads things off in the sixth. What a terrific effort to get out to the third base bag and make a very athletic catch and tag to end the inning. Ellis pops up here. It's Pence in from right. And it's worth another couple of looks, Tim.
Yeah, well, the reason that A.J. Ellis is there is he was going out to field the bunt. And when the third baseman, Luis Cruz, fielded the ball, Ellis continued on to third base. And that's what he's supposed to do. And that's why he's there. And even though the throw is late, the Dodgers got the call on a beautifully executed defensive play.
Chris Capuano picks on the first pitch, and the number 9 hitter singles into center field with one gone. But Blanco had in his mind he was going to try for third base. Tim Flannery goes nuts at the call. But wow, you do not see the sacrifice 5-4 and then the play at third 4-2 very often, in fact.
I mean, Matt, we were talking about it between innings. I mean, how many times do you see a non-double play where from a common sense standpoint you could say, wait a minute, wasn't that a double play? The answer is no. Because what separated it was the sacrifice by Cain. So you have 5-4 and differently 4-2.
2 outs on the same play with no double play. Right. You'd win a couple of nickels in the bar room on that bet.
I'll say. In fact, I might throw that around tonight.
Here's Mark Ellis now with Capuano aboard and one away. That's into right center field in trouble. It dumps in front of Pagan. Capuano will wrap around to third. And the Dodgers have a runner in scoring position for just the second time this afternoon. They're in business with runners at the corners and only one away. So now a tough man to double up in the switch hitting Shane Victorino will continue to bat from the left side against the right-hander Matt Cain.
So if you're the infield now, you play halfway. You don't play all the way in, because if you play all the way in, you're giving up the double play. You want to keep that in order so they're about halfway. On a ground ball to short or second, they can come home to get the pitcher instead of the speedy Victorino.
Nothing in one to Shane Victorino. Tim Wallach going through a steady series of signs in the third base coaching box. Adrian Gonzalez next with one away. Hey, look out, had to bail out that time, and yeah, he swung the bat in defensive fashion, albeit, but a swing nonetheless.
Well, that's the one thing that Victorino will do. He will swing at bad balls, and a lot of times when he's going badly, as he is now, that's where you try to get him out of the strike zone. I'd be surprised to see Cain throw a pitch of the next two if he gets that far in the strike zone. You don't have to.
A check in with Ellis. And Cain in the first bit of trouble he's been in all afternoon. After Victorino doubled with one away in the fourth, he got Gonzalez and Ramirez in relatively short order. Two runners aboard and one gone here. And that's hook foul. You know, I almost feel like in this whole conversation, Tim, of all the splashy additions that the Dodgers have made, that the guy standing at first base, A.J. Ellis, who came on at the break at the deadline last year in that deal from the Rockies, has really been one of those intangible players that has made such a huge difference in Los Angeles that might not get enough credit. A lot of talk about Hanley Ramirez, Adrian Gonzalez, Shane Victorino. Mark Ellis has been a wonderful contributor in L.A. It bounces away from Posey, and Ellis is going to scurry down to second base.
Good base running by Ellis. Victorino almost went for that breaking ball in the dirt. Alert base running by Ellis to get to second. I think if you're Cain, you try to go out of the strike zone again. You don't need to go in the strike zone to get Victorino.
Two balls and two strikes now. And this may just set up the most dramatic plate appearance of the series, with Adrian Gonzalez next. Cain again from the stretch. And the 2-2. Fly ball into center field. Pagan backs up, gets his momentum to throw toward the third base bag. Capuano will score without a play at the plate, and the Dodgers have tied it up here in the sixth. RBI number 51 for Shane Victorino. And now Adrian Gonzalez bats with a chance for the Dodgers to take the lead. Runner in scoring position and two away.
That's only the third run of the year scored by Capuano, and I would guess that that's the most important run he scored this year for the Dodgers to tie a game in San Francisco.
0-1 to Gonzalez. Plenty of familiarity in this matchup. Now, we talked about the success that Andre Ethier has had against Matt Cain, but no player in baseball has had more plate appearances against the giant right-hander than Adrian Gonzalez. There are many years as NL West adversaries with Gonzalez' San Diego days. 0 for 2 against him today so far, and it's a ball and a strike now.
Funny how a little momentum shift because of that play that ended the bottom of the 5th inning.
Well, Los Angeles has capitalized on that with a run to tie it here in the 6th. Fly ball into the opposite field. Blanco is under it with little trouble, does make the catch to retire the side. The Dodgers do get a run to tie it to the bottom of the 6th. A 1-1 ball game.
Position and looking good in New York here in the 4th. 2 on for Brian McCann. He drives in both. He'd later hit a 2-run homer, so he's 3 for 3, having a big day. After that, the pitcher, Chris Medlin, gets involved. Watch him crush this. But look at Jordani Valdespin and the route he takes. Where you going? It's now 7-1. Mets did get a run to snap the Braves' scoreless streak at 31 innings. Back to Matt Discursion and Tim McCarver in San Francisco.
Oh, Brian, thanks. You know, you don't usually smile and chuckle at highlights, but my goodness, where was Jordani Valdespin heading on that ball?
That looked like my first trip to Yosemite.
Angel Pagan, a former Met, with a fly ball into the corner. And Juan Rivera squeezes it for out number 1. Top of the order here in the Giants half of the 6th, and a new story on the scoreboard after L.A. plated their first run of the game in the previous half inning. 1 gone, and the base is empty now for Marco Scutaro. We open the telecast by highlighting the contributions that Scutaro has made down the stretch in his new uniform, and they have been significant. He's doubled and scored the only Giant run of the contest today. Remember back on opening day, Tim, when the conversation was the great unknown as to the trading deadline. Nobody knew then what the additional wild card would mean in terms of teams' willingness to deal in July.
That's a very good point. And yeah, I mean, it's changed things around. I mean, the biggest trade in the history of the game happened 15 days after the trading deadline this year, and that was the Dodgers and the Red Sox.
A lot of money changing hands. The Dodgers taking on $260 million worth of payroll. And that's Beckett and Gonzalez and Nick Punto's money not really contributing there, but the additions of Shane Victorino. And I think back to that opening day conversation, a lot of folks thought that teams would be more reluctant to deal because of the sense that they might have a shot with the additional wild card. I think just the opposite happened.
Yeah.
And there were more trades before the deadline and then before the August 31st waivers deadline than I think many of us saw coming.
Mm-hmm.
Two balls and two strikes to one of those players that changed uniforms this year. Next pitch to Marco Scudero's low. Scudero, former Red Sox, and of course the Red Sox combined with the Dodgers on that big mega deal. We didn't even talk about Carl Crawford on the DL, but he's got over $100 million worth of guaranteed money headed his way. A lot of zeros added to that Dodger payroll.
I think from an organizational standpoint, I think that one reason that major league clubs would be reluctant to make bigger deals would be you don't want to mortgage your future for a one-game shot, for a pop at winning one game, which is really a coin toss, regardless of the ability of the two teams or a particular pitcher maybe. Great at bat by Scudero again.
So 1 out, 1 on now, and Pablo Sandoval, who has singled and flied out on 2 total pitches today. We'll see if he tries to work the count a little differently here with a runner aboard.
I think to elaborate on that a bit, if you're going to win a division or if you're taking a chance on winning the division, then you would mortgage your future perhaps with one player. Trade a young pitcher, trade a young infielder, a guy who can run, a guy with power, but not for a chance to get in that first round playoff, which is a crapshoot.
Again, swinging on the first pitch, and Sandoval grounds into the 6-4-3 double play. Nothing in the Giants' sixth. On to the back third today. It's still a 1-1 ball game. Hanley Ramirez, Andre Ethier, and Luis Cruz against Matt Cain here in the 7th. The Giants and Dodgers tied 1 apiece. The middle game of a 3-game set. One of 5 remaining, including this afternoon's, between the 2 top setters in the National League West. Ramirez behind 0-2. There is so much left to be written in not only this NL Western Division race, but of course around baseball. And whether it's the addition of a wild card or just good old-fashioned hotly contested divisions, it's all likely to come down to the last series, if not the last weekend. And in that final series on the regular season schedule, you'll find the Dodgers and Giants head-to-head for 3 in LA. And won't that be a lot of fun?
Baseball fans thought that they would never see the likes of the ending of the season last year. Well, they may this year.
That's right. I think even though it's going to have to happen that way, it's going to be no less exciting.
Yeah.
It just happened that way last year with that unbelievable game 162. Baltimore beating Boston. Evan Longoria's home run toppling the Yankees. It's a breaking ball that just misses. Full count now, 3 balls and 2 strikes.
Interesting thing is last year in September, with Baltimore beating the Yankees and the Red Sox almost at will, it may have been a precursor for Baltimore's season this year.
The Birds are back indeed. Ramirez pops it up. Belt hoping for a play near the enemy dugout, and he can't quite get in there. Gives us a chance to take a look at our Jeep game summary. Be okay. 1-1 ball game, and it's been a pitching and defense day. Chris Capuano, Matt Cain, they have matched one another stride for stride. Giants got on the board in the first. Los Angeles tied it in the 6th. The next full count pitch to Hanley Ramirez is again fouled away. Boy, Matt Cain has been out there for so many of these over the years, Tim. Not until very recently did he have the ability to say, yes, my team will score on my behalf. His average run support was either worst or next to worst in the National League for 3 straight seasons at one point.
That's part of the maturation process for a pitcher. When he learns that he's not responsible for the final score, only from his side of the ball. In other words, if he can hold the team down, he has really nothing to do with the offense. Of course, in the National League, with the pitcher hitting, you have to bunt a guy over or something like that.
Swing and a miss. He finishes Ramirez with a slider.
Great at bat and a great pitch to finish off Ramirez. But a great at bat hanging tough by Hanley Ramirez. And Cain gets him on the breaking ball out of the strike zone.
A 9-pitch at bat results in Matt Cain's 5th strikeout of the afternoon. Now Andre Ethier. He has walked and struck out today. You look at all the numbers on a day like this, and you see Matt Cain undefeated in day games. You see what he does when he gets 3 or more runs of support. He hasn't gotten there yet today. His numbers within the division. How the Giants have won 6 of his last 7 starts against the Dodgers, and all things point to the home team having success today. But here we are in the 7th, all tied 1 apiece. That's why you play the game, I suppose. It ain't Stratomatic, as they might have said pre-internet.
I remember that game. I think.
And a strike to Andre Ethier as we bring you the Just for Men Auto Stop foolproof stat. And it's Andre Ethier's success against Matt Cain. Translates into 25 for 53, just as the Dodgers can count on Andre Ethier. You can count on Just for Men Auto Stop for foolproof results. Ethier hitless this afternoon, however, and there are 2 gone.
Well, Matt Cain joins a long list of National League pitchers that love to pitch in this ballpark. I mean, get in line. 66 home runs. the fewest hit in any major league park. What that does, it helps fly ball pitchers. You know, you hear that saying all the time, keep the ball down, you'll get the ground ball double play, stuff like that. That your ground ball double play is the pitcher's best friend. In this ballpark, a fly ball is the pitcher's best friend.
Great home numbers for Matt Cain. And he's in front 0-2 on Luis Cruz. Although with an ERA there in the low threes, Cain's home winning percentage is barely over 500, and that gets back to speaking to the lack of run support he suffered from. That's punched into center field. Pagan charging and making the catch to wrap up a 1-2-3. Top of the 7th. They're up and stretching in the city by the bay. Buster Posey will lead off the home 7th. We'll go there with the Dodgers and Giants all tied up. Klondike. What would you do for a Klondike bar? And by Mazda. We believe if it's not worth driving, it's not worth building. Quite a crowd has built in San Francisco this afternoon. Treated to a good one. 1-1 as we go to the home 7th. Buster Posey, Hunter Pence, and Joaquin Arias. The familiar refrain of Beat LA has started in the stands this afternoon. Not to be mistaken for a Lakers-Warriors game. That is a baseball chant in this part of the world. Posey singled in the Giants' only run in the first.
Well, Chris Capuano has made some terrific pitches to right-handed batters today. Only one infield hit since that Buster Posey RBI base hit back in the first inning.
Missed inside to Posey, and it's 2 balls and a strike. Just a run on 4 hits. Yielded to what had been a hot lineup at the start of the day. And most of his success has come via the ground ball out, as you see. Hunter Pence waiting on deck. 2 balls and a strike to Buster Posey.
I mean, those are nasty pitches to a good hitter, to a hot hitter since the All-Star game. We've talked about that. Chris Capuano, razor sharp.
He'll be the first one to admit, as he did with us yesterday, that he has to be very fine.
Not a hard thrower. Changes speeds, in and out, back inside. He missed inside then. Amazing in a 9-inning ball game how many mistakes are fouled off.
You know, you bring up an interesting point, because what Chris is going to do tomorrow, as he does after each of his starts, is he'll go through today's game pitch by pitch to determine how many spots he missed.
Does he mute the broadcasters?
We can only hope. Just by way of self-preservation, I hope he does that. But his number in his mind, and we talked about earlier, Tim, how he's a cerebral guy, Duke grad. He says that if he hits location 70% of the time or better, he's happy with his performance. He might not have won the start, but 70% is where he wants to be with location. Two balls and two strikes to Buster Posey. On a sharp hop past Cruz on into left field. Posey cuts the bag and is headed into second.
That was a mistake he didn't get away with. That was a middle of the plate changeup. Tried to go away, came back over the middle of the plate. Whenever you see a catcher sitting outside and then going to his left, that's a bad sign. Posey with the double to lead off the seventh.
Go ahead run in scoring position. And now Hunter Pence
might get a push bunt right here. Dom Gonzalez, who has not played against Pence this year.
Indeed. And the push bunt sacrifices Posey to third with one gone. Well, you smelled that one coming.
Well, I mean, with Gonzalez playing with Boston, hadn't played against Pence. By the time he gets to the Dodgers, he really doesn't know his, no pun intended, propensity to push the ball toward first. So he didn't come in, but Capuano fielded the ball, and now the Dodgers are going to have to bring their infield in.
The infield does, in fact, come in for Joaquin Arias. And we'll have a meeting on the mound now. Ronald Belisario has been hot in the bullpen for L.A. While we've got a moment, a reminder not to miss the biggest event of the season, Fox Fantasy Football, presented by Burger King. Easy league setup, Fox Fantasy Insider info, and always free to play. Sign up today at foxsports.com/fantasy. It is a rather lengthy conversation on the mound as pitching coach Rick Honeycutt makes his first appearance out of the dugout today.
It's always a hard thing for a pitching coach to do, because the longer he talks, in other words, the pitcher knows he's not going to take him out of the game, but the longer he talks, a guy who is cerebral like Capuano knows that he's talking to give Belisario a chance to warm up. And it may be that they're going to, that long conversation, an intentional walk, will give Belisario a chance to be in there, and they may bring in, of course, you got a left-handed hitter on deck, and that's Brandon Belt. So they'll keep Capuano out there, but still it does give Don Mattingly a chance to get Belisario ready.
Well, the wheels are really turning here. A lot on the line. And the Dodgers execute the intentional pass. 3 balls and no strikes to Joaquin Arias, and that'll set up Brandon Belt, as Tim mentioned. Just a note on Hunter Pence, by the way. That sac bunt that moved Posey to third. I'm talking about a guy that's been in the big league since 2007. That was his first career sacrifice bunt.
It was?
First career sacked bunt. They play the game a little differently now, apparently.
Man. How about that? Good one.
Well, here we go with Brandon Belt now. Chris Capuano not only surveying what's behind him, but what's in the dugout. Ronald Belisario's hot. He's ready to go. After Belt, it's another left-hander, Gregor Blanco. Right back to the mound. Capuano gets him at first, but the run scores from third, and the Giants reclaim their one-run lead.
That's terrific base running by Buster Posey, who took a chance. If Capuano makes this catch, Posey is dead to rights at third base. Off the glove, breaking for the plate. Only play that Chris had was to first base. But if he makes the catch, it's a double play. The Dodgers are unscathed out of the inning. What a game.
And now an insurance run out there in scoring position. That's Arias, who ends up at second on the play for Gregor Blanco. Blanco will receive the intentional pass. It'll be the second of the inning. And then you've got Kane standing in the on-deck circle.
I think if it were any other pitcher in the Giants starting rotation, there'd be a pinch hitter coming up, but not Matt Cain.
Aubrey Huff might be a candidate. That's the role he currently occupies as the pinch hitting specialist for Bruce Bochy. And there's ball 4 to Gregor Blanco. So again, the second intentional pass of the inning, and it sets up runners at first and second, a run in with 2 gone. And Matt Cain will in fact hit in his spot. Capuano's pitch count, and I hate falling victim to constantly posting that number, but it is relatively manageable today. Just over 80 pitches. Cain is bunting with 2 gone, and he fouls it away. He's been very efficient all afternoon. This is longest by pitch count, this 7th inning, that is. You're getting through multiple innings with single-digit pitch counts, as Capuano has today, and you're going to go deep into the day.
That's why it's 2-1 in the bottom of the 7th.
A wave and a miss, and it's 0-2 now to Matt Cain. When the Dodgers bat in the top half of the 8th, they'll have the bottom third of their order, Rivera, Ellis, and likely a pinch hitter. Cain swings and misses. The Giants do, however, push across the tie-breaking run. It's 2-1 San Francisco. MasterCard with Tim McCarver and Ken Rosenthal. Matt Vasgersian in San Francisco, where the Giants, courtesy of a run in the bottom of the 7th, have reestablished a 1-run lead. Been a good one so far this afternoon. Buster Posey scoring on a comebacker, and that spells the difference as we start the 8th. Juan Rivera, A.J. Ellis, and a pinch hitter against Matt Cain. Rivera hitless 0 for 2 this afternoon. Hunter Pence chasing that fly ball in the corner. That's a fair ball. Rivera into second.
Hunter Pence, a long way to run for that ball. I'll tell you, Juan Rivera, now I'm not saying he's got to be on third base, but he's got to be in a position to be on third base. It's the formula now is to hit it, watch, and then run, instead of hit it, run, and then watch. That's the correct formula. Had he run hard, he gives himself a chance to be on third base. Now, I don't know if he'd have made it.
A.J. Ellis is bunting. The sacrifice works, and the Dodgers, just like that, Tim, on a period of 2 pitches, have the tying run at third base with only 1 away. And that's going to get the Giant bullpen busy. Jeremy Affeldt quickly dispatched down to the pen.
Dodgers lead the majors now in sacrifices. Another changing trend in Los Angeles baseball. I mean, they make this huge trade in the middle of August, and it's a team that leads the majors in sacrifices.
A pinch hitter now, as the veteran left-handed batter Bobby Abreu will bat in Capuano's spot in the order with the tying run at third. A pinch runner at third base. Alex Castellanos is aboard at third, pinch running for Rivera. Giants play the infield in.
I think Bobby will look back on this at bat if it's not successful and think about that first pitch. He just missed that pitch. That's a pitch that Matt Cain has not made available to Dodger hitters all day. That high, lazy fastball out over the plate.
Not a lot of head-to-head experience amongst these 2 veteran players. Abreu having spent the recent past in Anaheim. And the veteran left-handed hitter lays off the 0-1, a ball and a strike. It's been a lot talked about regarding Bobby Abreu's willingness to accept a AAA assignment this year, as you see not only Jeremy Affeldt, but Santiago Casilla in the Giant bullpen. When rosters expanded, Abreu called back up, of course, from AAA. 2-1 now. Matt Cain approaching his 100th pitch. Bobby Abreu does not have a lot of pinch hitting at bats in his career, believe it or not, as long as he's been around, as he fights that one off foul. This year he's 6 for 22. For his career, as you see, just a .203 batting average.
And a tough guy to strike out.
Two balls and 2 strikes, the count to Bobby Abreu. Tying run at third with 1 away. Giants infield is in, and it's still 2-2 as we welcome you those that were with the Braves and Mets. Matt Vasgersian, Tim McCarver, Ken Rosenthal. A rain delay in New York Braves on top 8-2. We'll keep you current as to the status of the delay. In the meantime, you're joining us for a good one here in San Francisco. San Francisco won the opener yesterday. They started play with a 5.5 game lead over the Dodgers in the NL West, and they lead 2-1 here. A full count, 3-2. This has been, for those of you just joining us, a pitching and defense afternoon, as the score would indicate.
Been a great game and a gritty at bat by Abreu.
Bobby Abreu pinch hitting for Chris Capuano, who pitched very well today through 7. Cain's full count pitch. Gets away from Posey. Here comes the tying run to score from third.
Good move by Don Mattingly to put the speedy Castellanos in there. And what was interesting as Bruce Bochy is coming out to make a move to the left-hander was Abreu barely left the batter's box trying to instruct the runner coming in from third. Watch.
The Dodgers have tied it up in the 8th. The pitching change, and we'll be right back. The Giants make the move to the bullpen for right-hander Santiago Casilla. He's got a runner aboard and Mark Ellis at the plate. Casilla has been terrific, credited with the win in last night's Giants victory. He has blanked opponents in 17 of his last 19 outings. And trying to keep it 2-2 on Matt Cain's behalf this afternoon. Ellis has a couple of singles on his line today. He has extended a hitting streak to 6 in a row. A run in with a man on and 1 away in the 8th. I mean, it's just Groundhog's Day almost every time Matt Cain takes the ball at home. Not a lot of runs. Close and late. There goes the runner. A ground ball to third. The Dodgers stay out of the double play by giving Abreu the head start. And there are 2 gone. Time for today's Mazda better, stronger, smarter moment. Don Mattingly may have been the smarter one when he pinch ran Alex Castellanos for Juan Rivera in the 8th earlier this inning, and the slightly faster man was able to score in front of the wild pitch to make it a 2-2 ball game.
He might had to have been a groundhog to make that play. That ball got by Buster Posey. A lot of times a catcher with the fastball, you're not anticipating a pitch like that to be in the dirt, particularly from a control pitcher like Matt Cain. You're anticipating the breaking ball in the dirt, but not the fastball. He got the fastball, and that's why he missed it.
The go-ahead run in scoring position now for Shane Victorino, who sacked fly in the 6th, tied it at 1-1. Santiago Casilla has been a part of this evolving closers dynamic in San Francisco. He, like a couple of his staff mates, have had opportunities to close ball games this year. And it's 2-0 now to Victorino. In addition to the sac fly we mentioned, Shane has doubled. An original Dodger, or at least originally in his professional career, drafted by Los Angeles, returned to the team that drafted him via trade about a month ago. Casilla's 2-0. His hit on the ground is shortstop. Arias has got it. And Los Angeles will settle with the 1 to tie. Again, we are even. We head to the bottom of the 8th, all tied up 2-2. Banking, get to a better state. And by the all-new Dodge Dart. Dodge, new rules. A reminder to catch all the action of the 2012 Major League Baseball postseason on Fox and TBS. The excitement begins October 5th with the wild card on TBS. So much left to be determined in terms of the postseason races, and this afternoon in a 2-2 tie ball game. Top of the Giants order against the new Dodger pitcher. Right-hander Ronald Belisario takes over for Chris Capuano.
Talked about how the Giants have had to employ a bullpen by committee, or a rotating bullpen, if you will. Well, the Dodgers have to do the same thing.
2 balls and no strikes. The count to Angel Pagan, 3 for 4 last night. The other change defensively, Alex Castellanos takes over in left. Pinch ran for Juan Rivera and ended up scoring the tying run on the wild pitch in the top of the inning. Belisario's pitch is in for a strike. Ronald Belisario was terrific before the All-Star break. 29 appearances, an ERA of about $1.50. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
That gives you an idea, even though he was looking for it. Angel Pagan swinging a check swing through that sinker. You're looking for a pitch and you still have a check swing miss. That's a sign of great action on a pitcher's fastball.
There's the 2-2 home. Slapped to shortstop for Ramirez. Throws in the dirt, but dug out by Adrian Gonzalez. This season on MLB on Fox, Fox Sports is proud to support Boys and Girls Club of America, a place where youth can reach their full potential as productive, caring, responsible citizens. To learn more, please visit greatfutures.org/Fox Sports. With Ken Rosenthal on the field, Tim McCarver, Matt Vasgersian, and boy, this has really been a pleasure this afternoon, Tim. 2-2, last of the 8th, couple of teams very much in the postseason picture.
You never know what you're going to get. But today it's a beautiful day and a beautiful baseball game.
Marco Scutaro now takes a strike.
It's not the greatest game ever pitched. In my view, the greatest game ever pitched was pitched at Candlestick Park. Warren Spahn against Juan Marichal. 16 innings. Both pitchers went the distance. One on a Willie Mays home run, 1-0 in the bottom of the 16th. Now top that one, Matt.
Can't be done. I think you win on that. As good as Capuano and Kane were today, and as well as these staffs have pitched all year long, Ronald Belisario trying to continue that pitching and defense theme here in the 8th. A ball and a strike, the count to Marco Scutaro.
Warren Spahn, by the way, that evening that he lost to Marichal at Candlestick in 1963, was 42 years old. And Herman Franks, the manager of the Giants, kept wanting to take Marichal out. And Marichal said, if that old man can stay in the game, that's a quote, I'll be able to stay in the game. Juan Marichal told me he threw 234 pitches that night.
Nobody worried about the pitch count that night, huh?
No, and that's the point. Take that clicker and throw it in the bay.
Javier Lopez has now joined Jeremy Affeldt. Affeldt working on a complete game down there. I think Sparky Anderson was in the Giants dugout today. 2 balls and 2 strikes. The count to Marco Scutaro. Ellis hoping for a play, but that's a few rows deep into the seats. As we mentioned earlier, these 2 teams have 1 more tomorrow afternoon, and then 3 head-to-head to end the regular season. Tomorrow it's the left-handers Barry Zito and Clayton Kershaw, and then they won't see one another again until the final 3 days of 2012. Still 2-2 to Scutaro. When you compare schedules down the stretch, Tim, the Giants certainly look like they've got the easier time of it. In fact, only the Dodgers provide an opponent with a winning record on their remaining schedule. So if the Giants, who are all within the West, think they have it easier in terms of competition, you take a look at what the Dodgers are faced with. They've got a pretty tough road to hoe when you consider they are at Washington and at Cincinnati. They travel 2 time zones to play 2 first-place teams in the final 3 weeks of the season. is ball 4 to Scudero. Well, I'll be really curious to see if Pablo Sandoval here takes a look at anything beyond the first pitch, because in all 3 of his at-bats against Chris Capuano, he swung at the first offering, singled, flied out, and grounded into a double play.
And as we said earlier, he is the freest of free swingers. So if you're going to do a sequence of the pitches to Pablo Sandoval, normally it's very quick. First, second pitch. Used to refer to them, Ralph Kiner, partner of mine years ago, used to refer to those as a Bible hitter. Thou shalt not pass. And that's Pablo.
On the first pitch again, grounds to second. Ellis to Ramirez, no relay. I mean, to tell you, don't drop any change into the sofa cushions, Pablo Sandoval fans, because you won't see your favorite player on screen for very long today.
Well, let's take a look at the sequence. And here it is. This long at bat by Pablo Sandoval. Pitch by pitch. Fielder's choice.
That's it. Pitch by pitch, one of them. We can handle that workload.
4 at bats, 1 for 4, 4 pitches.
So now Buster Posey, who tends to go a little bit deeper into the count. Posey today singled in that first inning run, doubled and scored the Giants' second run in the 7th inning. And it's 2-0. Hunter Pence waits next. Two balls and a strike. Well, here at pitcher-friendly San Francisco, 4 runs into the 8th inning, a 2-2 tie. Biggest lead of the afternoon has been a run. And it's 3 balls and a strike to Posey now. And there is ball 4. So Pagan opened the inning with a ground out. Scudero walked. Sandoval grounds into the fielder's choice, and now a second base on balls in the inning has put runners at first and second with 2 gone for Hunter Pence.
Well, the one thing you do not want to get beaten on in this ballpark is playing the off-fielder too deep. Andre Ethier is too deep right now. The wind's blowing in. I'll guarantee you Hunter Pence couldn't hit a ball on a line over his head right now where he's playing.
First pitch to Pence is in for strike 1.
Guys who hit the ball the other way hit the ball with their arms. When you pull the ball, you use your body and your arms to do it. But Ethier should be about 5 steps closer in right field right now. Pence, a guy who will hit the ball the other way, by the way.
Well, that right center field gap out here in San Francisco is a spacious lot. Triples Alley is what it's been called here. For good reason. Balls get in there and will roll around a bit, but not much clears the fence in that dimension. Pence just trying to protect himself, falls behind 1 and 2. Hunter Pence has the ability, Tim, to look pretty bad on one pitch and then beat you on the very next offering.
Yeah, well, half of that was just true because he looked bad on that fastball.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Now, he's always been called a little non-traditional. And that's about as diplomatic as I can be on that.
I wasn't trying to be anything other than honest, because he wanted to, couldn't hold up. See what he does with 2 strikes. Protect the plate. You want to protect away. He's an unusual hitter. There's no question about it. How he's been successful, or as successful, with his style of hitting is a marvel to those who follow the game on a day-to-day basis.
It's one of the reasons that I think he's been overlooked at times in his career, including when he was being scouted and signed as an amateur out of Arlington, Texas. His hometown Rangers kind of looked past him because they thought, my God, this guy he's kind of quirky and spazzy up there. Swings over the top of a pretty good slider that makes for a scoreless bottom half of the 8th. Belisario holds. We're through 8 complete in San Francisco today. It's still a 2-2 ball game. To the 9th inning, and the Dodgers and Giants all tied at 2 apiece. A pitching change. Left-hander Jeremy Affeldt comes in for Matt Cain after a strong 8th this afternoon, in which Cain will not factor in the decision. It's Affeldt who gets Gonzalez, Ramirez, and Ethier here in the 9th. And Gonzalez puts a big swing on the first pitch he sees and sends it out to the aforementioned Triples alley. Gonzalez will try for 3rd. And the Dodgers have the go-ahead run at 3rd base with nobody out in the 9th.
Sometimes an experienced hitter like Adrian Gonzalez will go up there looking for a curveball. He got one middle of the plate. So Adrian Gonzalez homered his first at bat for the Dodgers and tripled his last at bat for the Dodgers.
Adrian will be the first one to tell you he is not really regarded as a triples hitter.
No.
His first 3-bagger of the season, as a matter of fact. And here's Hanley Ramirez now.
That's a very good defensive play by the Giants. They're playing their middle infielders halfway because of the speed of Adrian Gonzalez at third base. Normally, the infield would be pressed in another 3 steps, but not with Gonzalez, who is slow of foot at third.
Well, regardless of who has made up this revolving cast of Dodgers, as you see Guillermo Mota and Sergio Romo up, they have had a flair for the dramatic. 33 comeback wins among National League leaders in that category. Boy, and Affeldt just missing 2-1.
That's what he wants to do to Ramirez. I don't think he wants to throw him a strike. He'll take this pitch again on the 2-1 count.
Both bullpens busy at this hour. And it's 3-1 to Hanley Ramirez now. You saw Mota and Romo earlier. That's Brandon League up for the Dodgers. Andre Ethier waiting next. And a breaking ball's over for a strike to fill the count. 3-2. Now, part of the reason Bruce Bochy has selected Jeremy Affeldt for this particular inning is the success he's had against left-handed hitters. First, when he faced Adrian Gonzalez, has tripled. It's a full count to the right-handed swinging Hanley Ramirez. Full count, 3 balls and 2 strikes. It remains to Hanley Ramirez. Into that same gap. Gonzalez scores. Pagan goes down onto the turf. Ramirez to second, and the Dodgers have their first lead of the afternoon.
We talked about how we thought Affeldt would go outside again. He didn't. He came in and paid for it. Hanley Ramirez drives in the go-ahead run. And the Dodgers, for the first time in this game, take the lead.
Boy, and some of the new contributors, Gonzalez, Ramirez and company, Shane Victorino with a sac fly this afternoon. They have spelled the difference for Los Angeles. So many people, Tim, were anxious to call this a must-win for Los Angeles. And
I'm one of them.
These 2 games so important.
Yep.
Don Mattingly was among the first to say, hey, if people are talking about our need to sweep the series, we need to win the series first. Let's take 2 out of 3. And that's what made this, in your estimation and others, a, quote, must-win afternoon for Los Angeles.
That's exactly right. That's why we talked about it in the opening. You know, it's hard to say. I mean, players even kid about that. You're playing a 162-game series. What's the most important game that you're to play? Well, the answer to that is the game today. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, but today. And that's what Don Mattingly has tried to get across to his young troops, because that's how he played the game. Nobody played the game any better than Mattingly on a day-to-day basis. 9 Gold Gloves to his credit.
We look out. Big breaking ball up around the eyes, and it's 2 balls and no strikes to Andre Ethier. We just saw Hanley Ramirez off the bag at second, having driven in the go-ahead run. He has cashed in with some very big plate appearances since putting on the Dodger uniform. Against the Giants, he has 9 RBIs in 8 games as a Dodger. And that means a lot in terms of the standings, because, of course, San Francisco, the team the Dodgers are chasing. But in the bigger picture, in this Dodger-Giant rivalry, that's a way to endear yourself to your new fan base.
That's right.
When you come up big against the Hatfields to your McCoys. And the 3-0 to Ethier's in for a strike. Clayton Kershaw tomorrow in the series finale. He'll get Barry Zito, a couple of guys with Cy Young awards back home. Now Felt's 3-1 home. Oh, a full count as he gets a call on the corner.
Clayton Kershaw starts for the Dodgers tomorrow afternoon. Matthew, help me with this. I've already run into a blank. The quarterback for the Lions.
Matthew Stafford.
Matthew Stafford starts against the Rams. So an old battery, they were battery mates in Dallas, starting on the same day.
Ramirez runs, the throw to third is in time to get him.
Terrible play. You can't do that. You talked about how Hanley Ramirez has been a godsend against the Giants. This is a horrible base running play right here. You can't make the first out at third base or the third out, and Hanley did.
A pitching change. We'll be right back.
You don't have a good jump. There's a left-handed batter at the plate. There's a catcher who can throw, but more importantly, there's nobody out. With one out, you could excuse that. Not with none. Bad play by Hanley Ramirez.
So Jeremy Affeldt will yield after catching a break to a degree for Guillermo Mota. The Dodgers have scored the go-ahead run. 1 out, 1 on with a run in for Luis Cruz. Mota last pitched on the 4th against the Diamondbacks, a third of an inning. Recall that the Giants were without him until the very end of August, had been on the restricted list until then due to a second positive test in accordance to the substance violation of MLB's joint drug prevention program. That means he was taking something he shouldn't have, kids. Put all the fancy super duper words on it. A second positive test which resulted in a 100-game suspension. One more of those and you're going to have to go pitch in a league other than Major League Baseball. Here's the 1-0 home, and it's 2 balls and no strikes to Luis Cruz. Mota, a former Dodger, part of a very good Los Angeles bullpen back in the day with Eric Gagne as the base man at the back of the equation. Ethier runs. Posey's throw down to second is in time. Boy, at some point you'd think the Dodgers would get the message.
First, Hanley Ramirez at third, and then Andre Ethier at second. We told you, he can throw. Statistics prove it. 33% caught stealing. A rocket to second. 2 outs. Think about it. It could be first and second, nobody out. It's 2 outs and nobody on.
3 balls and no strikes to Luis Cruz. Correct me if I'm wrong, though. You don't take exception with Ethier trying to run there the same way you do with Ramirez.
Right. That's right. That's a fair point. No.
Though Buster Posey has thrown out all 3 would-be thieves this afternoon, including Hanley Ramirez twice. It's a full count now, 3-2 to Cruz. In the bottom of the 9th inning, the Giants will have the 6, 7, 8 batters. It'll be Arias, Belt, and Blanco. Here's the 3-2 to Cruz, and it's still full. Again, all this without Matt Kemp, who, as Ken Rosenthal reported earlier, had an MRI today on his bulky right shoulder, something that's given him trouble after the collision with the outfield fence in Denver a week plus ago. We are still awaiting results of said MRI. Still a full count to Luis Cruz. Sold out crowd here in San Francisco this afternoon, 41,000 plus, and dare I say not a one of them have left. Been a career day for Buster Posey on the defensive side of the scorecard. Still full.
Rarely does a catcher have a chance to do that, because after you've thrown out a couple, they don't run anymore. Even though they know that a guy like Buster has a fine throwing arm, quick feet for his release.
I'm sensing, per your earlier discussion, that this could be a part of his MVP demo reel.
Well, yeah. I mean, why not? The guy can do it with the glove or the bat.
The next 3-2. And Cruz pops it up. Scudero and Arias negotiating. Marco Scudero makes the catch. The Dodgers do get a run. We go to the bottom of the 9th inning. Giants trailing for the first time this afternoon. Today's Burger King smooth play of the game. It was one smooth swing by Adrian Gonzalez that tripled to open the ninth. He would score the go-ahead run on Hanley Ramirez base hit, and that's where we stand. 3-2 Dodgers to the bottom of the ninth. We go with Joaquin Arias leading things off against the new Dodger pitcher, right-hander Brandon League. Arias, Belt, and Blanco for San Francisco. Split time with the Mariners and Dodgers. League making a 64th appearance overall today. 1-1.
Once again, excuse me, Matt, Brandon League sharing the responsibilities of closing along with Ronald Belisario.
And one of those deals, Tim, that didn't exactly grab headlines outside of Los Angeles and Seattle, but one that's made a difference down the stretch. 1-2 the count to Joaquin Arias.
Because of Kenley Jensen and his irregular heartbeat.
Yeah, there is no timeline for Kenley Jansen's return.
Good changeup from Lee.
Brandon League, an American League All-Star last year. Saved a career-high 37 games with the Mariners in 2011. That ranked him third in the junior circuit. The 1-2 to Arias. On the ground is shortstop. And Ramirez gets him by a half a step. The producer of today's game is Jeff Gowen. The director is Jim Lynch. Associate director is Eric Talent. And the associate producer is Andy Kavanaugh. Our technical producer is Eric Steinberg. The technical director is Simon Benazara. It's the easiest name on the card. Pre-game show is produced by Ethan Kellenberg and directed by Mark Deaver. And the coordinating producers are Mike Santini and Don Bowie. A reminder, Fox College football Saturday continues your sports day after the Giants and the Dodgers. UCLA playing host to Nebraska. That's coming up next. Don Mattingly hoping it's coming sooner rather than later. The Dodgers 2 outs away from a series evening victory on the road. Another good changeup that time by Brandon League, and it's 1-1.
Boy, he has thrown some excellent changeups to the first two Giant hitters here in the ninth. Because it's a slower pitch, a left-handed batter with a chance to pull it a little more. For that reason, Adrian Gonzalez on the line at first base.
2 balls and a strike.
Try to guard against the 2-base hit. Make the Giants have 3 hits, 3 singles to beat you, as opposed to a double and a single.
To 2 balls and 2 strikes now. The Dodgers started play this afternoon. 5.5 out in the division race and a game and a half back of one of the 2 wild card seats. The Braves, one of the 2 teams in front of LA for the wild card, are still technically in a rain delay in New York. As it goes to a full count now, 3 balls and 2 strikes on Brandon Belt. That was delayed in the 7th with Atlanta on top 8-2. The Cardinals play later tonight. In fact, coming up in just a bit, they host Milwaukee. And Belt punches a ball foul. Your current standings in the National League. In the West, 5.5 between the Giants and Dodgers. And the wild card very much a 4-team proposition. Pirates are very relevant in this wild card chase, trying to finish over 500 for the first time since '92 and maybe make the playoffs in the same breath. Bucks host the Cubs in just a bit. They've got James McDonald on the mound, a former Dodger who has really turned in quite a 2012.
Yes, he has.
Gregor Blanco waiting next. Brandon Belt still battling with the count full. On one hop for Mark Ellis. And the Giants are down to their final out this afternoon. A reminder, Fox College Football Saturday is coming up next. Number 16, Nebraska in UCLA. Pasadena will be buzzing for the Bruins home opener this afternoon. So here's Gregor Blanco now. He has been intentionally walked and he has singled in 3 trips to the plate today.
We saw against Brandon Belt, Adrian Gonzalez guarding the line. With Blanco up there, if Blanco gets to first base, he's got great speed, 21 steals, and 24 tries. So you're not as inclined to guard the line against Blanco as you would be against a slower runner. What you're protecting with Blanco hitting is the single, not the double.
One ball and 1 strike to Gregor Blanco. The ex-Brave trying to keep this last of the 9th inning alive for a pinch hitter on deck. Hector Sanchez would bat in the pitcher spot should that opportunity be afforded the Giants. 2 gone here, last of the 9th. Leagues 2-1, 2 balls and 2 strikes now. Clayton Kershaw and Barry Zito tomorrow evening. And then for San Francisco, they'll load up and head to Denver. A little softer landing for the Giants than for the Dodgers, who go to Phoenix next. An opposite field drive, well hit. Castellanos back at the wall, and he can't make the catch.
Castellanos may be hurt, crashing into the wall, but this ball kept drifting and drifting and drifting. I think he made the catch, slammed into the wall, the ball popped out of his glove, and Blanco with a double. The ball was in the glove, now out of the glove, can't recover in time, and Blanco with a 2-out double representing the tying run.
Boy, Gregor Blanco really put a charge in that 2-strike offering.
Well, I'll say.
And about 41,000 plus thought that it might be gone.
Yeah.
Here's Hector Sanchez now. A base hit ties it, last of the 9th. The Giants have their best roster speed in scoring position. And Lee gets a very friendly call on the outside corner. Sanchez has had a lot of success off the bench this year. Line to third, and that'll do it. No, he hit it right on the screws, but right at Luis Cruz. Brandon League holds, and the Dodgers have evened up this series with a comeback 3-2 win this afternoon.
Right down to the last pitch in a game that the Dodgers had to have.
The Dodgers deficit in the West now back to 4.5 as we send you back to the MLB Network studios for post-game coverage. Here's Brian Kenny. Brian Kenny.